Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the breakfast news on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. First up, a look at the headlines. BJP chalks out plans for 250 rallies in Delhi over the next week for the assembly elections, campaigning in top gear in the final leg before polls. Partial stake sale of Coal India begins today. Government hoping to garner almost half its disinvestment targets for the year. Oil prices fall to below $44 a barrel, their lowest since April 2009. Nation pays homage to father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, on his 67th death anniversary today. Leaders pay their respects at Gandhi's Samadhi at Rajya. And it's do or die for India as they take on England in the Tri-Series in Australia. The winner goes through to the final. Well, it's just about a week left for campaigning for the Delhi Assembly elections and parties are pulling all out stops, and now the BJP has chalked out an aggressive strategy for the upcoming assembly polls in Delhi. It will hold 250 rallies over the next week, including 4 to be addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Here's more.
With Delhi polls nearing, BJP has chalked out an aggressive plan to win the high-pitched contest. In an attempt to take on the Aam Aadmi Party, the party has decided to hold 250 rallies across the national capital in a week. BJP members from 13 states and 120 of its MPs will be part of the Delhi campaign.
प्रधानमंत्री जी की 4 रैलियां दिल्ली में जो तय हुई हैं, वो 31 तारीख को सीबीडी ग्राउंड में होगी, ईस्ट दिल्ली के अंदर कड़कड़डुमा के पास। दूसरी रैली 1 तारीख को होगी द्वारिका के अंदर। तीसरी रैली 2 तारीख को होगी जैपनीज पार्क रोहिणी के अंदर और चौथी रैली होगी साउथ दिल्ली के अंदर विराट सिनेमा के पास दक्षिण दिल्ली कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी के अंदर।
The BJP meet came after the party pushed some of its big guns into Delhi's electoral battle on Wednesday, asking its cabinet ministers and a chief minister to campaign for the 7th of February elections. BJP has decided not to release a manifesto for Delhi polls. Instead, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will come out with a vision document.
हमारा घोषणा पत्र नहीं होगा, हमारा विजन डॉक्यूमेंट होगा, जो नरेंद्र भाई के नेतृत्व में, किरण बेदी जी के अगुवाई में हम यहां अमल करने वाले हैं, कार्यान्वित करने वाले।
In an attempt to target Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal, BJP will also put 5 questions before him till polling.
जो 5 सवाल केजरीवाल से लगातार हम 6 तारीख तक करेंगे, उसके संदर्भ में माननीय अनंत कुमार जी ने बताया कि आज हमारे 2 मंत्री उसके संदर्भ में बातचीत करेंगे।
However, AAP is unfazed by BJP's challenge. Instead, the party insisted on a debate between Kejriwal and BJP's chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi before the polls.
पब्लिक को ये अधिकार है जानने का कि अरविंद केजरीवाल या किरण बेदी किस तरह का विजन रखती हैं, क्या एजेंडा है दिल्ली वालों के लिए। तो डिबेट से भागेंगे, जिसके अंदर सच की ताकत होती है, ईमानदारी की ताकत होती है, नियत साफ होती है। वो छिप के 5 सवाल नहीं करता, वो पब्लिक में आके 500 सवाल करता है और 500 सवालों के जवाब देने की हिम्मत रखता है।
The poll is expected to be a tight contest between BJP and AAP, the 2 largest parties in the last assembly elections. With 2 former aides of Anna Hazare involved in an electoral face-off, the campaign has already turned out into an interesting one. With inputs from Anu Devan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, all the 3 major parties contesting the Delhi elections show clear indications of shifting gears in their respective campaigns. The BJP announced it will field no less than 120 senior leaders to canvass for votes in the city, while the Congress, led by its Vice President Rahul Gandhi, stepped up its attack on the Prime Minister. Aam Aadmi Party leader Arvind Kejriwal addressed well-attended rallies in the farthest localities of Delhi.
In line with its plans to use frontline leaders for canvassing for votes in Delhi, the BJP had union ministers Smriti Irani and Piyush Goyal campaigning in various localities of the city.
इस बार दिल्ली में बैकडोर एंट्री कांग्रेस की ना हो। आम आदमी पार्टी ने जो बार बार लोगों के सपने दिखाकर लोगों के सपने को चकनाचूर करने का पाप किया है, इस बार उनके झांसे में न आकर दिल्ली में पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार बने, आज यही निवेदन आपके बीच में मैं लेकर आई हूं।
दिल्ली में ऐसी सरकार आती है जो दिनों रात दिल्ली की चिंता करे, दिल्ली में 24 घंटे 7 दिन बिजली मिले, उसकी चिंता करें। दिल्ली में अच्छी बिजली मिले, सस्ती बिजली मिले और पूरी बिजली मिले, इसकी चिंता करें। तो वो सरकार प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की अगुवाई में किरण बेदी जी दे सकती हैं।
For the Congress, Rahul Gandhi addressed a rally in which he targeted both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Arvind Kejriwal.
जन लोकपाल बिल की बात की और पूरे हिंदुस्तान को उन्होंने बताया कि जन लोकपाल बिल आएगा तो भ्रष्टाचार खत्म हो जाएगा। जन लोकपाल बिल आया, क्या भ्रष्टाचार खत्म हुआ? भ्रष्टाचार कम हुआ? बिजली की बात की, बिजली के दाम कम करेंगे, बिजली के दाम कम हुए। पानी की बात की, पानी के दाम कम हुए।
Aam Aadmi Party leader Arvind Kejriwal, on the other hand, addressed rallies in the city. Party leaders also responded to the BJP's decision, posed 5 questions to Kejriwal on a daily basis.
Why stop at 5? Let's discuss 50 questions. We have given an open offer. Please come and debate. Let Arvind Kejriwal and Kiran Bedi do what Kiran Bedi has been asking for all these years. Let's have a public debate. Why is the BJP running away from public debate?
The Congress has already released its election manifesto, while the Aam Aadmi Party is expected to announce its poll promises this week. Among other things, the Congress has promised a bill to ensure housing rights. With Ravinder Singh Shoran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on now, the government's stake sale of up to 10% in state-owned miner Coal India Limited begins today. This could meet almost half the government's disinvestment targets. 358 rupees per share has been fixed as the floor price. The sale of over 63 crore shares in the blue chip company is expected to mop up around 22,600 crore rupees at the current market price. 31.58 crore shares or 5% stake is being sold in the public offer with an option to sell another 5% through offer for sale or auction route. Coal India Limited has reserved 20% shares for retail investors who will also get 5% price discount. Coal India is the second company to hit markets under the government's disinvestment program. In December, it sold 5% stake in sale to garner over 1,700 crore rupees. The government currently holds 89.65% stake in Coal India. The government is targeting 43,425 crores through disinvestment in PSUs in the current fiscal. Well, joining me on the phone line right now is the senior editor with the Economic Times, Himanshu Vats. Good morning, Himanshu, and thank you for joining me on the program. Well, as far as the government's target of 43,000 odd crores is concerned, trying to disinvest stakes from PSU, it seems like the government seems to be on target to reach that particular figure with this particular stake sale.
Yes, this particular stake sale would, help the government meet nearly half its target, and with a couple of more issues, I think the disinvestment target, the government would be much closer to it. So this is a very important stake sale, some 23,000 crores or so, and it was much needed for the fiscal situation.
And as far as the floor price of this particular share is concerned, it's been set at 358 rupees per share. And this, of course, is a 5% discount from what the closing price for the share was last evening, which was about 370 odd rupees. Now, what is the intention of the government really to try and give out these discounts? Because there's a further discount of 5% for retail investors as well.
See, the main intention is you do not want a situation where the market price goes below the offer price. And the other thing is, you only have 10% of shares in the market so far, and therefore the supply of shares in the market would double. Now, when such an increase in supply comes, there could be a downward pressure on prices. So you have to make the issue attractive to the investors, whether they are retail investors, institutions in India, foreign financial institutions, because they will put in their money only if they see some value. So for that, you need to give it at a slight discount. as far as retail investors are concerned, there's a bigger discount. But you would not see too much of retail investment because of the very short time given. This issue was suddenly announced and it's open today and it will close pretty soon. So to make it attractive for the retail investors, you'll need to give some discount. So
all right, Himanshu Vats, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for joining us on the phone line with all those details. Moving on now, of course, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj says that there's no politics in this shake-up in her ministry in the exit of Sujata Singh and S. Jaishankar taking over as Foreign Secretary. The curtailing of Singh's tenure by the Cabinet Appointments Committee on Wednesday night had appeared as something of a surprise. Here's a report.
My priorities are the government's priorities. I would say I'm very honored that I have been assigned this responsibility, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
1977 batch IFS officer Subramaniam Jaishankar's comment after taking charge as the country's highest diplomat. As per rules, Jaishankar will have a 2-year tenure. Before his appointment as Foreign Secretary, the 60-year-old diplomat was India's ambassador to the US. He had also been posted as ambassador to China, Singapore and Czech Republic. As he took over, the importance of media was not lost on him.
As I take over, I'm happy to work with all of you. I know that the media is an important part of our foreign policy projection.
The circumstances of Jaishankar's appointment are not without controversy. His predecessor Sujata Singh's tenure was curtailed 8 months before it ended. Singh had taken over as the third woman Foreign Secretary in August 2013. The opposition parties, especially the Congress, have questioned the appointment.
The senior-most women Foreign Secretary, Ms. Sujata Singh, has been summarily terminated without any reason post a supposedly successful visit of United States President. It raises serious doubts on the intent as also the objectives.
But the BJP has defended the move, saying there is no political motive behind it.
I don't see any reason for any hue and cry. A government is within its rights to decide how it would like to appoint what officers and with what responsibility. And this is not the first time that the government or preceding governments have taken decisions. I don't see any reason that anyone can attribute any political motives or otherwise. This is the right of the government.
इस वक्त जो मुनासिब तरकीब उन्होंने चुनी है वो ये है कि उसे फॉरेन सेक्रेटरी मुकर्रर करें और लेकिन इसके लिए सुजाता को जगह देनी होगी और वहां से हटना होगा जो हो चुका है.
Singh's removal comes close on the heels of a similar termination of the DRDO chief. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but on the way, take a look at last evening's beating retreat ceremony in the capital that marks an official end to the Republic Day celebrations. Indian tunes were the highlight this year.
Hello and welcome to ISTV. I'm Siddharth Vardarajan and my guest today is Mr. Ali Akbar Torkan.
Because of sanction, we have lost 60% of the capacity of oil export of Iran is the first country that are against extremism. The Indian side, strategically, they need to have this pipeline and this source of energy.
Watch Ali Akbar Torkan, Chief Advisor to President of Iran, in conversation with Siddharth Vardarajan in Indian Standard Time on Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, today is the 67th death anniversary of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, observed as Shaheed Divas. The President, Vice President, Prime Minister and other dignitaries will pay tribute to the Mahatma at his Samadhi at Rajghat. The first ever documentary made on him, which has some rare footage including his first interview to a foreign journalist, will also be screened today at the India International Centre. The film contains a narrative on the life of Mahatma Gandhi amplified with photographs, film strips and scenes of various events associated with our freedom movement. Various other commemorative programs are planned around the country. Well, let's take a look now at some other news-making events lined up for the day today in our special segment, The Day Ahead. TMC General Secretary Mukul Roy will appear before the CBI today in the Sharda Chit Fund scam probe. He had been issued summons by the investigating agency 2 weeks ago. Roy has since maintained that he's done nothing wrong and will cooperate with the CBI. He is the senior-most leader of the TMC to be summoned in the case, causing considerable embarrassment to the party. The Urban Development Ministry is holding a 2-day conclave starting today to finalize the concept of smart cities in India. The selection for smart cities will be done in consultation with the state governments and other stakeholders. The ministry is expected to roll out a city challenge plan in which urban centres hoping to be selected for smart city projects will be evaluated on a range of parameters including urban reforms, revenue collection, sanitation levels, capacity of urban local bodies and creditworthiness. The GDP data based on the new series will be released today for 3 consecutive years from 2011-12. At present, the GDP is computed on 2004 and 5 base year. Now, as per the revision policy of the national accounts, the estimates for the year 2011-12, 2012-13 and 2013-14 would be the third revised estimates, second revised and first revised estimates respectively. Amid reports that efforts to unite the Janata Parivar have hit a roadblock, leaders of all member parties are likely to meet in Delhi today. Reports suggest the meeting will focus on the merger of these parties at the national level as early as possible to counter the BJP. Former Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is likely to skip the meeting though. With just a week of campaigning left for the Feb 7th polls in Delhi, parties are engaging heavyweights to spearhead the campaign. BJP President Amit Shah will address 2 rallies in West Delhi today, after which he is scheduled to chair a high-level meeting with state leaders. AAP convener Arvind Kejriwal will also hold a series of public meetings in northwest Delhi, while his BJP counterpart Kiran Bedi will campaign in her constituency. Moving on to some international news now, the IS hostage crisis has taken a fresh turn with the release of a new audio message. The voice is reportedly of a Japanese journalist who has been held hostage. It threatens to kill a Jordanian Air Force pilot unless an Iraqi female prisoner in Jordan was released by Thursday. Jordan wants proof that the pilot is still alive. Here's more.
This is a voice message I've been told to send to you.
IS has released this fresh audio message, purportedly in the voice of Kenji Goto, the Japanese journalist who has been held hostage for days.
If Sajida al-Rishawi is not ready for exchange for my life at the Turkish border by Thursday sunset 29th of January, Mosul time, the Jordanian pilot Muaz al-Kasasba will be killed immediately.
A threat to behead the Jordanian pilot held by IS if a female prisoner Sajida al-Rishawi is not released. She is on death row in Jordan for her role in 2006 triple hotel bombings in Amman that killed 60 people. Japanese officials confirmed that the audio appears to be genuine. Tokyo pleaded with Jordan to help in freeing Goto. Jordan has offered to release Rishawi but in exchange of its pilot.
現在それを受けて確認中でありますけれども、症情報を総合すればですね、後藤さんの声である可能性が高い、そういうふうに考えている。
具体的な内容を申し上げることはできませんが、政府としては極めて厳しい状況の中、ヨルダン政府に協力を要請をしてきておりまして、引き続き後藤さんが早期に解放されるよう全力を尽くしていく考えでございます。
Japan has been seeking Jordan's help to free Goto since an IS video last week claimed beheading of another Japanese hostage, Haruna Yukawa. Initially, the IS has asked for a ransom of $200 million for the release of Yukawa and Goto, but later they demanded Jordan to free Rishavi. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's move on to news of a sensational terror scare on Dutch TV. A 19-year-old Dutchman with a pistol forced his way into the studios of the national broadcaster NOS on Thursday, demanding to be allowed to go on air. Witnesses said that the man entered the studio after threatening a guard with a pistol. It was unclear how he passed through security, which was increased after the attacks. This footage aired on TV showed the man pacing in the studio with a black pistol behind his back. He had intended to speak to the country on the most popular evening news broadcast, but was led to an empty studio by a quick-thinking security guard. He has been arrested and questioned and could be charged with kidnapping and threatening besides other charges.
Voor de uitzending van 8 uur kwam er een man de redactie oplopen. Die was gewapend. Weet niet zeker of het een echt pistool was. Hij wilde graag zendtijd hebben. En daarop hebben we hem naar een studio gedirigeerd die op dat moment niet in gebruik was. Vervolgens de politie gewaarschuwd. En inmiddels is het hele pand ontruimd. En daar wil ik het eventjes bij laten. Dankjewel.
Okay, thank you. And here are some other news and updates from around the globe in our wrap. Bulletin struck more than a dozen army and police targets in the restive Sinai Peninsula with simultaneous attacks involving a car bomb and mortar rounds on Thursday, killing at least 26 security officers. Militant group Ansar Bait al-Maqdis, which pledges allegiance to the Islamic State, said that it carried out the attacks. Insurgents have intensified attacks since Egypt's Islamist president Mohamed Morsi was ousted in 2013. The European Union has extended its first set of sanctions against Russian and pro-Russian separatist officials by a further 6 months due to the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Sanctions were due to expire in March, but the Dutch foreign minister said an extension sends a strong signal towards Russia. The extension was agreed during a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Brussels on Thursday. 4 children are reported killed in a gas explosion at a maternity hospital in Mexico City on Thursday. More than 60 people were injured, 22 of them seriously. The death toll is expected to rise. The blast destroyed nearly 3/4 of the hospital, and authorities said that more victims could be buried in the massive pile of smashed concrete and twisted metal. Malaysia has officially declared the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 an accident, clearing the way for the airline to pay compensation to victims' families while the search for the plane goes on. The Boeing 777 aircraft disappeared on March 8 last year, carrying 239 passengers and crew shortly after taking off from the Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing. Months of searches have failed to turn up any trace. Moving on now, oil prices tumbled to a near 6-year low underneath $44 per barrel on Thursday as record high US crude inventories deepened worries over the excessive global supply. However, there have been signs of an upturn in prices since. The problem was aggravated in November after the OPEC oil cartel insisted that it would maintain output levels despite plunging prices. The 12-nation group pumps about 30% of global crude. Analysts said oil was also facing downward pressure after a fresh US Federal Reserve policy statement released Wednesday suggested no deviation from the central bank's plan to begin hiking interest rates around the middle of the year. Let's take a look now at the global stock markets. US stocks closed higher on Thursday as an upturn in oil prices and a rally in Apple and Boeing shares helped offset some disappointing earnings and lingering questions over US monetary policy. In the US markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 225.48 points or 1.31% to end the business at 17,416. Standard & Poor's 500 gained 19.09 points or 0.95% to close the day at 2021. The Nasdaq Composite added 45.41 points or 0.98% to finish at 4,683. After yesterday's rebound, gold lost its sheen with prices falling by 120 rupees or 0.56% to 28,300 per 10 grams owing to slackened demand at prevailing levels amid weak global cues. Silver also dropped by 420 rupees or 0.38% to 39,100 per kilogram on reduced offtake by industrial units and coin makers. Asian stocks were sluggish on Thursday as a late earnings-led surge on Wall Street was tempered by ongoing concerns about global growth. Japan's Nikkei was down by 163.04 points or 0.93% to close at 17,769. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's Hang Seng lost 112.46 points or 0.46% to end the trading at 24,708. Moving on to some sports news now. India play England today in a tri-series ODI match at Perth that will effectively be a straight knockout to face Australia in the final. This comes after the India-Australia match on Monday was washed out. With Australia already qualified, England lead India by 3 points going into the showdown at the Waka today. 4 points are available for a victory, and the 2 points India earned on Monday removed the possibility of qualification being decided on bonus points or net run rate. For India, the England game is one final chance to salvage something from a tour that has again exposed their weakness away from home. They are yet to win in Australia this winter. Meanwhile, India will host the 2016-2020 World Cup. The International Cricket Council board met for the first time in Dubai yesterday and awarded India the World T20 Championship in 2016. The T20 World Cup in India will be played from the 11th of March to the 3rd of April 2016. Ireland and Scotland will host the qualifiers between the 6th and the 26th of July this year. India had won the inaugural T20 World Cup in 2007. Among other decisions taken by the ICC board, the Cricket World Cup starting next month will have a super over in the event of a tie in the final. In news from the Australian Open now, the second men's finalists will be decided today with top seed Novak Djokovic taking on Stan Wawrinka. Andy Murray is the other finalist, already decided yesterday. Other key matches for India will be Sania Mirza and Leander playing their respective mixed doubles semis. Take a look.
Martina Hingis and her partner from India, Leander Paes.
The Indo-Swiss pair of Leander Paes and Martina Hingis will face the unseeded pair of Su Weixi of Taiwan and Pablo Cuevas of Uruguay in the first match of the day.
2 sets to love, 6-3, 6-1.
The first-time combination of Sania and Brazil's Bruno Soares will look to repeat the success when they take on Kristina Mladenovic of France and Daniel Nestor of Canada. In the second men's singles semi-final, Serb Novak Djokovic and Swiss Stan Wawrinka will be a big draw, another engrossing spectacle and could prove equally defining for the tournament.
Extraordinary quality.
In a late-night match on Thursday, Andy Murray came storming back after a poor start to beat Thomas Berdych and reach his fourth Australian Open finals. The dual Grand Slam champion seeded 6 beat the 7th seed 6-7, 6-0, 6-3, 7-5 in 3 hours 26 minutes and will play either four-time winner Novak Djokovic or defending champion Stan Wawrinka in Sunday's decider. For the women, Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova meet in the finals on Saturday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And finally, on the 67th death anniversary of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, here's a visual tribute to a man whose ideals hold a new relevance, not just for India, but for the world. I'm going to leave you with this. Have a nice day.